Welcome back, dear viewers. And President Fattah Sisi said on Thursday that strong bonds and common aspirations and challenges shared by the African and Russian peoples create a common ground for boosting the African-Russian cooperation. The President was speaking at the first session of the Ruissia Africa Summit being held in Sochi. Now, dear viewers, we'll air to you the full speech of the President.
In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate, Mr. Vladimir Putin, the President of Russia, Your Excellencies, the heads of states and governments in Africa, Mr. Musa Faqih Mohammed, the head of the AU Commission, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation to President Vladimir Putin and the Russian people and Sochi, nice city, for the hospitality and the excellent organization of this summit that we all witnessed since we arrived on the land of Russia. I would like also to extend thanks to all the organizers for the excellent preparation and the efforts exerted to launch the first edition of Ruissia African Summit that is launched today. It gives me pleasure to talk today in this important event in front of this galaxy on the land of Russia about the most important developments and about the cooperation with a friend to the African continent. Africa-Russian cooperation has taken great strides since mid last century when Russia started cooperating with the African Union in its battle against colonization, and they provided financial and logistical support to the African liberation movements across Africa. Over the past years, it was proved that the Russian people and the African nations have a lot of pillars for cooperation, and they have similarities regarding the challenges and the aspirations. That's why the Russian-African cooperation is so important and should be more comprehensive to reflect these aspirations and to provide a bigger space for coordination pertaining to the accelerating challenges we are facing within the framework of a changing dynamic world. We are convening today in the first summit between the African countries and Russia under the slogan for peace, security and development after the 3 months of the extraordinary meeting of the African Union that witnessed launching the executive mechanisms for the African continental free trade zone after it came into force. And this agreement is considered to be one of the most important pillars of the development of African Agenda 2063, as it seeks achieving regional integration and increasing the competitiveness of the African continent at the international level, as well as motivating and attracting foreign direct investments in the priority fields for the African countries, on top of which is industry, power, energy, agriculture, telecommunication and information technology. Countries of the African Union are seeking to build upon the economic development in Africa over the past 10 years, especially through achieving integration to finalize all the continental projects that aim at achieving regional integration. And also the African countries are exerting a lot of efforts to set frameworks for corporate governance and governance of capital markets to achieve stability to their markets and attract foreign investors. Ladies and gentlemen, we totally realize the challenges facing stability in the African continent, and our ambitious plan to put an end towards by the end of 2020 is considered to be the first important step to settle these conflicts. And this would be a top priority for the African leaders over the next year, in light of its importance to achieve the aspirations of the African nations to enjoy peace and prosperity. In this context, we find that there is a dire need to support the framework policy of the African Union to achieve reconstruction in the post-conflict era and to support reconstruction and development in the African countries. through the center that is hosted by Egypt and the implementation mechanism that support countries in the post-conflict period to build their institutions once more, to play their role in protecting the countries and to attain peace and sustainability and development. Here, we would like to emphasize our commitment to cooperate with regional and international partners due to the fact that we understand the importance of coordination between peace and security, regional, international, and continental mechanisms within the framework of the respect of international law, as well as non-intervention in the internal affairs of the countries and settling conflicts peacefully, in addition to upholding multilateral actions. We need all to remember that confronting terrorism is considered to be a priority for the African and international peace and security agenda. We realize how difficult and complicated that battle is. So comprehensive confrontation is the best opportunity to eradicate terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, the African continent is open to cooperation with different partners, and we wish through this summit to put the basis for the African-Russian cooperation for the coming years, as well as emphasizing the importance of opening the horizons for such a relationship to include industry, commerce, trade, societal, cultural, and educational aspects. And the principle of equal partnership and just partnership between Russia and Africa in a win-win situation, as well as the ownership of the African countries to their resources. Ladies and gentlemen, our current summit is focusing on peace, security, and development. So in this context, I would like to refer to the fact that Egypt will launch the first edition of Aswan Forum for Peace and Development on the 11th and 12th December to be a regional and continental forum in which intellects, leaders, peacemakers, and development partners would meet in the city of Aswan, the gem of the river Nile, to reflect the African identity of Egypt. We will work on this forum to be a platform for communication and dialogue between the leaders, decision makers, and experts from all African countries, to focus on peace on one hand, sustainable development on the other, as well as developing relevant mechanisms to come into effect and to be reactivated in the African continent. I would like to seize this opportunity to invite President Vladimir Putin and my brothers, the leaders of the African countries, to participate in this forum and to contribute to its discussions to enrich its main topics. At the end of my speech, I would like to emphasize that I'm looking forward to the recommendations of today's summit to be for the interest of the African nations and the Russians, and to enhance African-Russian cooperation in the future. Thank you, and peace be upon you all.